Tell me what you see in me. Hey dolls, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure that you subscribe. Also turn your notifications on so that you'll know when I post new videos. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how I achieved this look that I call the Instagram baddie look. This is a really popular look on social media right now. It's really simple, but sometimes less is more, and that is exactly what's accomplished with this look. So if you would like to see how I got this look, just keep watching. Let's get right into it. So hey again, you guys. My niece wanted to say hey, but I'm going to be starting off with freshly washed skin, and I'm using this lash glue from Kiss to sculpt my brows. So I'm just applying it directly to my brows and using a spoolie to brush the product in and make sure that my brows are really flat and seamless. Next, I'm going to be jumping into my face makeup. If you guys caught my last makeup tutorial that I posted on here, I did do my brows and eyeshadow first, but for this type of look, I decided to do my face first and then come back to brows and eyes later. So make sure that you guys go check that out if you haven't done so already. For primer, I did use E.L.F's Power Grip Primer, and for foundation, I'm going to be using Fit Me's Matte Poreless Foundation in the color 355. The clips of me showing the foundation and applying it did not save, so here I am just blending it out. But every product that I used in this video today, I will list them in the description down below. Moving on to concealer, I'm going to be using Tarte's Shape Tape Concealer in the color Tan Deep Sand. I'm just applying this to the high points of my face, including my T-zone, which is the area underneath my eyes, my forehead, the bridge of my nose, as well as the area above my lips and my chin. Here you see me dragging the concealer from my forehead and connecting it with the concealer that I'm putting on the bridge of my nose. I do this because I feel like it really allows me to take full advantage of my facial structure this way. While my concealer dries, I'm going to go ahead and contour my face. I'm using a shade stick from Juvia's Place, and this is in the color Zambia. I'm applying this to my cheekbones, my hairline, and the sides of my nose. Usually I would swipe the contour stick on my face, but this time I decided to put it on the brush instead of directly on my skin, and then use the brush to buff it onto my face for a softer look. Using the same sponge that I used for foundation, I'm using the opposite side to blend my concealer. I like to use a brush to help blend my concealer out when I can't quite get to the fine lines underneath my eyes with the blending sponge. Just the beginning, it don't get no better. As long as you hold down, I'll be up for whatever.
love the way you look at me, 'cause I speak forever. I'm ready before, but I want you now more than ever. You make me wanna put the phone down. When we're alone, I wanna zone out. Baby, with you I ain't got no doubt. Just tryna let you know now. Fact. You're the one I was missing. The opposite of fiction. That's facts. Oh, it's a given. I don't care about opinion. That's facts. Facts. That's facts. The one I was missing. Just the beginning. It don't get no better. As long as you hold me down, I'll be up for whatever. And I love the way you look at me, 'cause I speak forever. I'm ready before, but I want you now more than ever.
To blend the concealer on my nose, I use the brush instead of the sponge for a more precise finish.
Baby, with you I ain't got no doubt. Just tryna let you know now.
Once my concealer is all blended, I go ahead and contour my nose. I'm using the same contour stick from earlier, and I'm using the same technique from earlier as well. Instead of applying the stick directly to my skin, I am applying it to the brush and then applying it to my nose from there. To set my concealer, I'm going to be using the Sacha Buttercup setting powder, and I'm using the same blending sponge from earlier to really press this into my skin. Make sure that you press, and if you think you're done pressing, press again. We want a really clean skin-like finish.
It was nothing, yeah. How you gonna grow it away? How you gonna make it so damn hard to explain? How you gonna grow it away and say my love that I was not the same, yeah. How you gonna grow it away?
I always like to use a small brush to put the setting powder on my nose, just for a really precise and clean finish. Now what you see me doing here is taking that same brush that I used earlier and applying a light layer of setting powder underneath my cheekbones, just for the illusion of a lifted face.
I've been taking on all this baggage, adding on so much weight. Had me thinking that I was average, when you really don't play.
Now I'm going to go ahead and do my brows. I'm using Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pomade. This is in the color Ebony, and I'm just taking a small flat angled brush and making like hair-like strokes just to fill them in enough so that they aren't scarce. I'm also taking a spoolie and lightly brushing my brows just to soften up those hair-like strokes and making them look a little bit more natural. I'm using the same concealer from earlier to go in and clean up my brows.
It's not home, but you know
Since I did do my face before my brows, I am being extra careful with my concealer at the top of my brows. If you're going to use this technique, just make sure you take really special care with your concealer at the top of your brows if you decide to conceal the top of your brows, because I know not everyone does that, but make sure you use very little at the top because you'll already have like foundation and contour up there, and you don't want your concealer to be really noticeable. Also, make sure that you do a good job of blending it in. As you can see, I used a brush and I'm going back in with the side of the sponge that I used for foundation to make sure that it's extra blended. Taking that same concealer, I'm using it as the base for my eyeshadow. With the setting powder that was left on this brush, I went ahead and set my eyelids. The first color that I'm using for eyeshadow is coming out of the Box of Crayons palette from the Crayon case. Again, I will list all of the products that I used in this video in the description, but I'm using the color Tan, and I'm just applying this to my lid as well as my crease. Now I'm taking the 3503 palette from Morphe, and I'm using one of these brownish, like burnt orange type of shades. I'm putting that on my lid as well and blending it into my crease. Next, I'm using the Warrior 2 palette from Juvia's Place, and I'm using this dark brown shade. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I think I'll mess the name of it up, but I'm putting that shade on my lid as well. I am blending it into my crease, but I'm not going as high up as I did with the last two shades. Going back into that Morphe palette, I'm going to be using a dark brown that's really similar in color to the brown that I just used from the Juvia's Place palette. Lastly, I'm going to finish this eyeshadow off with the color Deep Plum from the Box of Crayons palette. With this shade, I'm not going into my crease at all. I'm mainly focusing it on the lid just to deepen everything up a little bit more. Now that I'm done with eyeshadow, I'm going to go ahead and set my contour with the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette. This is in the color Deep to Dark. I'm just putting this everywhere where I have cream contour. And now I'm just dusting away the setting powder.
Tell me what you say now. Tell me what you said. You said that you would come again. You said that we would remain friends, but you know that I do not depend on nothing or no one. So why would you show up so uninvited? Just change my mind like that. Please don't take this personal, but you ain't shit and you weren't special till I made you so. You better act like you know that I've been through worse to you. I just can't keep running away. But I don't need you. 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 But I want you. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. I don't mean to. But I.
For bronzer, I'm using the Bronzed Duo palette from Juvia's Place. The clips of me showing the actual palette didn't save, so here I am just applying it. And for blush, I'm using the blush binder from the Crayon case. I'm going to be using two different shades. The first shade is a brown, and I'm just really using that to deepen up my bronzer and my contour. And then I'm going to be using a light pink, and I'm really focusing that shade on the apples of my cheeks and then feathering it out towards my temples.
Live in a different time zone. Think I know what this is, just the time's wrong. Yeah.
For highlighter, I'm using two highlighters from Juvia's Place, the Royalty 1 and 2 highlighters. The Royalty 1 highlighter is a little bit darker than the Royalty 2 highlighter, just a tad bit. So I put the Royalty 1 down first, and then I go back in with the Royalty 2 to intensify the highlight.
Tell me what you see in me. Gotta be something different. You must be made for me. Patience is nothing.
Next, I'm moving on to eyeliner. I'm using this black lining pencil from Wet n Wild to line my lower lash line.
Why you love me? You got it bad. You got it.
Now that I'm done with liner, I'm going back into the Warrior 2 palette from Juvia's Place, and I'm going to be putting 3 different shades of eyeshadow down at my lower lash line as well.
Nobody else had a clue what I could do, what I could do. We're right around the love, right around the trip, right around the dick. Right around the slap me up the dick. I'm throwing a fit. Right around the world.
Next, I'm moving on to liquid liner for eyeliner at the top. I decided to do a really long and dramatic wing. Since my eyeshadow is really simple, I felt like a dramatic wing would really tie everything together and balance everything out. The lashes that I used came from my beauty brand. I will link these lashes in the description, but this is the Lola lash. They are 20 millimeters and they are super full and wispy, but they're not too much, and they kind of give me lash extension vibes. I just felt like this pair of lashes was the perfect pair for this look. Now moving on to lip liner, I'm using this brown liner from Wet n Wild once again, and I'm lining my lips with this liner pretty heavily. I did go off camera and overline my lips a little bit because I know that's a big thing on Instagram and social media. They overline their lips. I'm going to fill this liner in with this matte lipstick from Sephora. And I'm just using a little brush to go in and blend that out and make sure that we have a really nice ombre effect going on. I'm using this lip plumping gloss from E.L.F. to top off this matte lipstick. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but of course you can find it in the description. And this is how it turned out. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that it was helpful to you. If you decide to give this look a try, be sure to let me know how it turned out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on those notifications. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.